Imagine you run a club and your only rule is, absolutely everyone is welcome here no matter what. It sounds like the perfect, peaceful community. But what happens when someone walks into your club, looks around and says, I don't like these people. I'm gonna kick them all out and lock the door. If you stick to your rule and tolerate this person's behavior, your club will be destroyed. If you kick them out, you're breaking your own rule about being welcoming. This is a trap that has broken the minds of philosophers and voters for decades. Today, we are looking at a brilliant concept that explains exactly how a free society can accidentally destroy itself. The paradox of tolerance. To understand this trap, we have to travel back to 1945. The world was watching the catastrophic destruction caused by World War II. A philosopher, named Karl Popper, was looking at how modern, open societies had collapsed into brutal dictatorships. In a famous book called The Open Society and Its Enemies, Popper pointed out a fatal flaw in how we think about freedom. He created a concept called the paradox of tolerance. The paradox states that if a society is tolerant without limit, its ability to be tolerant will eventually be seized or destroyed by the intolerant. Let's break this down to the simplest possible level. Imagine tolerance is not a personality trait but a peace treaty. It is a set of rules for a game we all agree to play. When you play a board game, everyone agrees to follow the rules so the game can function. But if one player decides to flip the board, steal the pieces, and set the rulebook on fire, you cannot just politely wait for your turn. By destroying the rules, that player has removed themselves from the game. Popper realized that tolerance is the exact same way. It is an agreement. If a group of people refuses to play by the rules of a peaceful society and actively tries to destroy that society, you cannot use the rules of tolerance to protect them. Because if you do, the game ends for everyone. Now, it is incredibly important to understand what Popper did not say. He did not say we should ban people just because they say things that offend us or hold strange beliefs. That would just make us dictators. Popper was very specific. He said we should always try to fight bad ideas with rational arguments in public debate. The line is crossed only when the intolerant group refuses to listen to reason, forbids their followers from debating, and answers arguments with violence, intimidation, or force. The paradox is not about silencing people we disagree with. It is about stopping people who are actively trying to burn down the very system that allows disagreement to exist. A truly open society is fragile. It relies on the goodwill of the people inside it. Popper's paradox teaches us that in order to maintain a tolerant society, the society must be utterly intolerant of intolerance. It sounds contradictory, but it is the only way a free system survives. You can invite anyone into the garden, but you cannot invite the wildfire. Recognizing this boundary isn't a failure of freedom. It is the necessary shield that keeps freedom alive. Here is a very real complex question that many free societies are struggling with today. It frequently creates some of the most intense debates online. Imagine a wealthy, tolerant nation. People from a different country want to immigrate there, perhaps fleeing hardship. The host nation wants to be tolerant and welcoming. But what happens if some of the new arrivals hold deeply intolerant views, for example, regarding women's rights or religious freedom, and want to establish their own different legal system within the host country? This is a true test of the paradox. One perspective argues that tolerance requires respecting all cultures and beliefs, even if they are different. The opposing perspective, using Popper's logic, argues that if you tolerate systems that are fundamentally intolerant, you are creating the conditions that will eventually destroy the host country's own free, tolerant society. This is where the simple rule of be nice stops being a solution and becomes the problem itself. Here is a quick fact to wrap up the topic. Karl Popper actually wrote The Open Society and Its Enemies while living as a refugee in New Zealand during World War II. He had fled the rise of Nazism in Austria, because he was so far away from the battlefields and felt guilty that he could not fight as a soldier. He considered writing this book to be his personal war effort against authoritarianism. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video.